This is from the book Pakistan Army's First Warlord, who led its longest war, General Douglas Gracey and the Kashmir War of 1947-48. Summary of Gracey's failures in the conduct of Kashmir War. General Gracey's first betrayal was his telegram to General Lockhart warning him of tribal attack on Jammu and Kashmir state. His second and greatest betrayal was sabotaging Mr. Jinnah's orders to attack Jammu and Kashmir with two Pakistan Army brigades. About this matter, Major General Shahid Hamid wrote, quote, on 27th October he ordered Gracey to move troops into Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir and to seize Srinagar and Banihal Pass. Gracey replied that he could not comply with the order and must report the matter to Auchinleck as compliance would entail the issue of stand down order number 2, which meant the withdrawal of the British officers from the Pakistan Army. According to Gracey's private secretary Wilson, Mountbatten rang up Gracey and threatened that if he moved troops to Kashmir, he would ensure that he would not get his knighthood. Gracey capitulated. So, just out of fear that he would not get his knighthood, Gracey betrayed the Pakistani cause in Kashmir and disobeyed the orders of the Pakistani Governor General. Refers page 420, Disastrous Twilight, Personal record of the Partition of India, General Shahid Hamid, Leo Cooper, Great Britain, 1993. Mr. Jinnah ordered Gracey to march two infantry brigades into Kashmir as indicated by yellow line. This is the first map actually depicting what his orders were. And plagiarizers to know to be careful. Already my maps have been plagiarized by Helion Books London, the Ravi Ricky's book on 1971, and I wrote a review also on the Amazon, but no shame or no apology from Helion Books. Now, Mr. Jinnah's order to Gracey was one brigade from Rawalpindi to attack Srinagar and the other brigade from Sialkot to attack and capture Jammu. But these orders were disobeyed by Gracey, Mr. Jinnah's hand-picked British chief. Here Mr. Jinnah also deserves complete blame, although inadvertently and unintentionally, for having accepted a Britisher who had already snubbed him as a captain in 1925. The Bolaitho biography is very clear about this incident, and the Bolaitho biography which reported this incident was sanctioned by the Pakistani government. This remained Mr. Jinnah's problem, not trusting Pakistani officers and placing unconditional trust in Britishers who defied him as they wished. Sir Francis Mudie, the British governor, called Gracey a wind-up merchant. Mudie thus summed it up as, quote, Gracey was impetuous and had no political sense. He was out of his depth and invariably turned to his private secretary for advice. It was all Gracey's fault. He had no business to inform the Auchinleck and should have carried out the orders, unquote. This is the British governor, Sir Francis Mudie, criticizing Gracey. Refers Disastrous Twilight again. Gracey ordered Pakistan Army in Kashmir in April 1948 only after Indian Army had secured Kashmir Valley, Southern Kashmir, Rajouri, Nowshera, Cham, Jammu. In other words, he was the supreme authority in military matters in Pakistan. Gracey wet-nursed the Pakistani political leadership to launch Pakistan Army in Kashmir. Gracey now woke up, albeit considerably late, and advised the Pakistani political leadership as below, quote, it was with thoughts such as these that India had begun her preparations for an offensive, and the situation was becoming so threatening that it could no longer be ignored. Thus, on the 20th April, the Pakistan Army Commander-in-Chief, General Gracey, reported to the Pakistani government in these words, an easy victory of the Indian Army, particularly in the Muzaffarabad area, is almost certain to arouse the anger of tribesmen against Pakistan for its failure to render them more direct assistance and might well cause them to turn against Pakistan. Fear of Pashtun tribal invasion. Now he continues, Akbar Khan, that Gracey recommended that if Pakistan is not to face another serious refugee problem with about 2.5 million people uprooted from their homes, if India is not allowed to sit on the doorstep of Pakistan to the rear on the flank, if the civilian and military morale is not to be affected to a dangerous extent, and if subversive political forces are not to be encouraged and let loose within Pakistan itself, it is imperative that the Indian Army is not allowed to advance beyond the line Uri, Poonch and Nashera. This is the official communique of Gracey to the Pakistani political leadership. We see a shockingly shallow man here. Gracey's supreme life script was self-interest. In October 1947, he disobeyed Mr. Jinnah as he did not want to be on the wrong side of the Governor General Mountbatten, who, in words of Major General Shahid Hamid, could sabotage Gracey's knighthood. But in February 1948, Gracey simply acted as his performance and reputation as Pakistan Army Chief was at stake. So he now recommends Pakistan Army commitment to Kashmir. All self-interest. The above decision was a true reflection of Gracey's narrow tactical mindset. He assigned a myopic defensive mission to the Pakistan Army, surrendering all initiative to the Indians. Gracey assigned no importance to the northern areas and Baltistan. Even his resolve to hold Poonch-Nashera line was very weak, as we shall discuss in subsequent pages of this book. American author Petty brilliantly summed up Gracey most accurately as, quote, Gracey seemed to be a man without a plan. He merely reacted to events as they occurred, neither anticipating them nor appreciating their impact after the fact. Quote, this is Why Vietnam, Prelude to America's Albatross. This is the book dealing with Gracey in Vietnam, where again he was a total failure. As we shall discuss in subsequent pages, Gracey could never rise beyond a divisional commander, his highest rank in actual war. This man, handpicked by Mr. Jinnah, had zero strategic vision, and Pakistan Army was condemned to be led in the longest conventional war that it fought by a man with zero strategic talent or insight. Seen in this context, the failure in October 1947 and at Jhangar, at Poonch, and finally at Zojila were a foregone conclusion. Gracey's only positive decision was to replace Major General Brigadier Haji Iftikhar, initially assigned the key task of defending Jhelum Valley, by the far more dynamic Akbar Khan Preach Khel DSO. If Akbar Khan was not in this position, it is possible that the Indians could have captured Muzaffarabad. Gracey assigned a very timid mission to Pakistan Army when he ordered it to fight inside Kashmir. The official history of the Kashmir War, published in 1970, described this mission assigned by Gracey to Pakistan Army. Quote, spare a limited number of personnel and units from the Pakistan Army and to deploy them forward of Pakistan's borders so as to establish firm bases behind Azad Forces defense line and to provide them bases when necessary, officers and some fire support elements for the Azad and tribal forces in their operations. These units were primarily deployed to defend Pakistan's borders and were given orders to avoid any direct involvement in fight with the Indian Army unless absolutely necessary. Refers the first Pakistani official history of the Kashmir War, the Kashmir Campaign 1947-48, published by General Yahya Khan on a specific desire in 1970. Unquote. Gracey conducted the Kashmir War in consultation with the Indian Army's British chief, and all along his prime consideration was saving and preserving his reputation rather than achieving any decisive breakthrough. Gracey failed to coordinate and spur Pakistan's foreign minister, very fond of making verbose and loquacious, eloquent speeches in the UN, to negotiate a ceasefire while Pakistani military position was strong in terms of occupation of key strategic positions. He failed to organize a counterstroke to compel Indians to agree to a ceasefire between February and September 1948, and only did so in December 1948 when Pakistan had already lost Rajodi, Jhangar, Mender, leading to Indian link up with Poonch, as well as Indian relief of Leh and capture of Kargil and Zojila. Gracey failed to appreciate that Indians could use tanks to capture Zojila Pass despite apprehensions expressed by the lower Pakistani commanders. We will deal with all these matters step by step, and the next podcast will deal with Gracey's passive conduct in October and November 1947.